Alright guys, got another video here for you. Thanks for tuning in and checking everything out. If you haven't already, hit the like, subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Today we've got a dryer that's making a whole bunch of noise. And I'll work on just about anything and try to fix it. So first thing it did was it was working. It was just spinning. It's making a whole heck of a lot of noise when it was tumbling and drying the clothes. So went around, just kind of visually inspected it, what's going on. Nothing really seemed to be loose from the outside on it. So open up the door and I'll show you. One of these paddles has come loose. You see the other ones, they're fixed. They're solid. There's 3 of them in total. But this one's just hanging on by one screw. I think I can see a little bit of a screw in there hanging out. So these two, either the paddle broke and the screws fell out where the screws mount, or the screws work loose or something. But I can't get to the back of the screws from inside here. So gonna have to take this thing apart. And looking around the front of it, don't really see any hardware, sticking out. I don't want to have to take this thing completely apart if I don't have to. I want to take as little of it apart as I can. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to slide it away from the wall so I can get behind it. Maybe see if I can figure out a little bit better how to take this thing apart from there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my hand trucks, slide up under the front, put a strap around the back. That makes it a lot easier, because if I put my hand trucks just under the front and try to lift it up, it's just going to want to pick up the front and not grab the back. So I'm going to put a ratchet strap around it, help me lift it and help me move it, since I'm here by myself. But the first thing you want to remember when you start doing anything with any kind of electrical appliance, anything to do with electrical, make sure you disconnect the power from it. So I'm going to set the camera up and I'm going to pull the dryer out and see what we can get figured out with it. Okay, I just wanted to show you, I've got my hand trucks set up and ratchet strap going around it. Just wanted to kind of point out, when you put your ratchet strap on there, make sure that you're not going to be rubbing or having this ratchet strap pull against anything breakable or sensitive. You don't want your ratchet strap around this, because this is a lot of plastic right here. So I'm gonna get the ratchet strap off, and you can see it's unplugged. I'm gonna get the ratchet strap off and then kind of figure out my next plan of action. Alright, so I've got the ratchet strap off, and after checking the thing out, did notice there are 2 screws on the front. There's one here, and there's another one over there on the other side, and they're down at the bottom. But there's not any up here, anywhere else on the front. So I imagine there's got to be some sort of fastener up underneath the top. So I'm thinking I need to take the top off, because I can tell that the front is a separate piece from the side here, but there's no real, it doesn't separate. Just that piece just kind of wraps around all the way around. So I'm going to start by taking out these screws on this panel that's on the back of the control here, and see if there's a way where I can just take the top off. And maybe if I just get the top off, I can get to that drum. So I'm going to start taking these screws out. And here's one little piece of advice, that if you're not familiar with doing this kind of stuff, you're not really sure what order the screws would go back in, you can use a sandwich baggie and just put a piece of tape on it and write on the sandwich baggie. You could do, since these screws on the top, these 3 are Phillips head, whereas these are hex head, these 2 on the bottom here, you could label your first baggie hex head screws top of back. And I like to put them in a number. If it's going to be a lot of screws that I'm going to take apart on something, I'll number it. So like my first set of screws that I take out, say it's these, I'll put top of back number 1. Then the next set of screws will be number 2, and then go on and so forth from there. Basically, when I'm going to put it back together, I can just go in reverse order of the number of screws, and the screws will tell me where they go. So I'm going to go ahead and take this back panel off and see what we got. Alright, so I got the back off, and that didn't do anything for me. I don't see any way of taking the top off but taking the back off. So I went around to the front, and I did take those 2 screws out of the bottom, and I was able to get it off. Once I took the 2 screws out of the bottom down there, I was able to pull it away and kind of slide it out. So I now have it off, and I can get to, let's see if you can see there, there's a bolt that's still attached to that little paddle wheel in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take that little screw, bolt, whatever it is, I'm gonna take that out. And after I get it out, do a little inspection, see what I can come up with on how to fix this. Okay, I've got the little paddle wheel out. One of the screws was still in there. I have it here, and I did see the other one laying in the bottom of the dryer body. I thought there was 3 screws. There's 3 holes in there, but that one's just a locator pin. And I don't know why this came loose. Maybe it just worked loose over time, getting out of balance or whatever. But I don't even know if you could see in there, but the screws aren't, the threads aren't pulled out. I can run the screws down in there and tighten them down with my little nut driver here. I might put a little dab of epoxy down in there and stick it back in the dryer and put it back together and see what happens. So I'll come back to you after I get it mounted in there. I am going to put a little drop of epoxy in these things, since I'm thinking about it, just to give a little added insurance. If it came loose once, it's liable to come loose again. I want to focus my time on working on something else other than having to do the same thing twice. So I'm going to stick this in there and get back with you in a second. Okay, I've got it back in the spot where it goes. Got the back panel put back on, the front panel put back on. And the paddle was this one right here. So that one's nice and tight. That one's tight. And that one's nice and tight. So all 3 paddles are nice and tight now. This is a Maytag dryer. I don't think I mentioned that before, so I'm not sure if all dryers are going to be the same. In the end, I didn't have to take off that back panel. The only thing I had to do, I didn't even have to pull it out. The only thing I had to do was take them 2 screws off the front, hinge it out from the bottom pretty far, and then just kind of unslipped. There was 3 wires going there. I just kind of moved it out of the way, just set it to the side so I could get my hand in there and work. But just make sure before you start working on anything, unplug it. That is not going to feel good if you get hit by that. So, that being said, I think my epoxy's dry. It's nice and quiet, like it used to be. You see, it was running. So, again, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Give me a thumbs up on this bad boy. And as you can tell from this video, I don't work on just lawnmowers. I'll pretty much work on about anything. So, give us a subscribe, and you might. And then there's no telling what you'll see us working on. Thanks.